I want a divorce.
What?
Please, leave the house right now.
Wait a minute, what are you saying? What do you mean all of a sudden?
I've already made up my mind.
Made up your mind? What do you mean by that? Explain your reason.
The reason is me. Just as those words were spoken, my twin sister Chloe walked into the room with a smug look on her face, looking down at me triumphantly. What on earth is going on? This makes absolutely no sense.
Ryan and I are getting married.
When I looked at my husband Ryan's face at Chloe's words, Ryan looked away from me without changing his expression. Is this a dream? I can't believe something like this is actually happening. I've heard stories about sisters taking each other's husbands or boyfriends, but I always thought those were just stories in dramas or movies. I am Susan, a housewife who has been married for 10 years. I have a twin sister, Chloe. We are identical twins, so our faces should look exactly the same, but the impression people get of us is quite different. Chloe is the picture of health, while I have been prone to illness and physically weak since childhood. People often say that twins catch colds and run fevers at the same time, but that wasn't the case for us. Even when I had a fever, she would be playing energetically. In gym class, while I was often sitting out due to poor health, Chloe never once had to sit out. Maybe that's why she is bright and proactive, while I am shy and passive. My parents took care of me a lot when I was little, but as my bad health continued, they gradually became more and more annoyed.
Mom, I feel really tired.
Again? I gave birth to you and Chloe the same way, so why are you two so different? You're really a lot of trouble. I'm sorry. Go lie down in your room. Don't cause any more trouble. Okay. I could feel that Mom was starting to see me as a burden. On our birthdays, only Chloe got a cake. I understand it was because I would get stomach aches from eating dairy, but it still hurt to watch Chloe blow out the candles and celebrate alone on our shared birthday. As we grew older, Chloe was given more priority. Mom would dress her in cute clothes, but I only got plain, cheap ones. Susan is skinny and frail, so nothing looks good on her. It's a waste to put her in cute clothes. When the family went out, Chloe always went along, but I was almost always left behind. Susan gets sick easily, so it's no fun to take her along. That's right. Because of you, we always end up having to go home early or to the hospital. Susan, you're just exaggerating your condition to get everyone's attention, aren't you?
I'm not doing that.
But it's weird that you're so different even though you're twins. Maybe there is some truth to that. You often hear stories about parents doting on their sick child and neglecting the healthy one, but in our case, it was completely the opposite. By the time I started middle school, it had become normal for the family to go out without me. Chloe gradually developed an attitude that it was only natural for her to be taken care of. Susan, you're really unnecessary in this family. Dad and Mom said it would have been better if I was their only daughter. I knew that I, who got sick easily and incurred medical expenses, had become a burden to my parents. Every time I had a fever, Dad and Mom would look at me with a face that said, again, and sigh. Even when I was with my family, I felt isolated, so I had come to find comfort in being alone, even if it was lonely. Since I couldn't do sports, I focused on my studies. But when I got better grades than Chloe, you're so cheeky for someone like Susan. You should always stay in my shadow. Don't ever think about outshining me. She would say things like that. Chloe always wanted to be in a superior position to me. By the time I entered high school, I rarely fell ill, but my family's attitude didn't change. After graduating from high school, Chloe went on to college, but I got a job and moved out. When I told my parents I was leaving, they looked visibly relieved. I was foolish to think they might ask me to stay. I realized then that I was nothing but a burden to them in that house. For the first time living alone, I bought myself a small cake with candles to celebrate my birthday. Happy birthday to me. From then on, I decided to live for myself. Whenever something good happened, I would celebrate it quietly like this. Fortunately, the company I joined wasn't very large, so it felt like a close-knit family. Everyone was kind. It was a packaging company that took orders from various industries and made products, essentially a subcontractor. The year I joined, I was the only new hire, so it felt more like a family than my actual family. Everyone gave me advice and worried about me living alone. Ryan worked at a packaging design company and often placed orders with us. Since I was always the one handling his orders, we naturally started talking more. One day, he asked me out to dinner. By then, I was already 23, but it was the first time a man had ever asked me out. Living in Chloe's shadow, I had come to believe that things like this just didn't happen in my life. I must have made a weird face out of shock. Seeing my expression, Ryan got really flustered.
Oh, sorry. If you don't want to, you can say no. I don't mind.
And so, we started dating. His parents divorced when he was a child, and he was raised by his mom. His dad was there when he was very young, but Ryan hardly remembers him. His dad wasn't family-oriented and rarely spent his days off at home. The only thing Ryan remembers is his parents arguing frequently. After the divorce, they lost contact, and his dad only paid child support for the first few months before disappearing. A few years after the divorce, his uncle informed them that his dad had died in an accident, but neither Ryan nor his mom attended the funeral. When I met Ryan, it had only been a short time since his mom passed away from illness. He would always smile fondly when talking about his mom. She must have been a wonderful person.
If Mom had met you, she would have been so happy. I'm sure you two would have gotten along great.
Listening to Ryan, I thought about how he had such a close relationship with his mom despite not having a dad. It made me tear up thinking about my own family. I thought I had moved past caring about my family, so the tears surprised even me.
Oh? What's happening to me?
Ryan then gently listened to my family story. I had never talked about my family to anyone before. So, my coworkers seemed to assume I didn't have a family, and I never corrected them. When I first moved out on my own, I informed my parents of my address and phone number, but 5 years have passed, and neither I nor my family have reached out to each other. 3 years into our relationship, he proposed to me, and for the first time in 8 years, I contacted my parents. Would they be surprised, perhaps a little happy? I still wondered.
Hello, it's Susan.
Oh, it's been a long time. I thought you might have gone to heaven. My mom laughed, but it wasn't funny at all. Was this supposed to be a joke? It didn't seem like the kind of joke a parent should make to their child. So, what is it? If you need financial help, we can't assist. We're not well off either.
It's not that. I'm getting married.
What? Really?
He wants to have a family meeting, so we plan to visit you soon.
Susan getting married, huh? I thought Chloe would get married first. Chloe always said she would marry a rich and handsome man, but it seems she hasn't found such a person yet.
Does Chloe not have any such plans?
Seems not. Well, unlike you, Chloe is cheerful and strong, so she doesn't need to rush. I see. My parents are still the same. Even when I said I was getting married, they didn't congratulate me or ask about my fiancé. It seemed they didn't care. But Chloe, upon hearing the news, contacted me immediately. Susan, you're getting married? Yes. Whoever chose you must not be much of a man. It's cheeky of you to marry before me.
Cheeky!
So, you're going to show off your fiancé?
That's not it.
Well, hurry and bring him over so I can inspect him. While I still hoped for some family blessing, my hopes were shattered. I thought they might congratulate us a bit when we met, that they might say something that made me feel like family again, so I took him to my parents' home. What a dork. That was Chloe's first comment upon seeing him. Indeed. He seems quite plain.
Don't be picky. Susan couldn't have landed a great catch. Hey, that's rude.
I wondered what kind of man he'd be, but he's exactly what I imagined. It was embarrassing. To think they'd make such rude remarks to their daughter's fiancé on their first meeting made me question their decency. I shouldn't have come. Why did I think they might celebrate with us? I should have known better. But still, I had foolishly hoped because they were my family. Ryan understood what kind of people my family was. I apologize for being such a dull man. Susan, shall we go? Yes, let's. The family meeting ended there. From now on, my family would only be Ryan. I resolved to live thinking this way. Married life was peaceful, and he was kind and always considerate. We both kept working, so we divided the housework as best we could, but Ryan was always better at it. Over the past 10 years, we didn't have children, but we were very happy. I thought Ryan felt the same way.
Divorce. What does this mean?
So, as I just said, Ryan is marrying me. Susan, you're in the way. Sign those divorce papers and get out. How could Chloe, who had been distant since that wedding introduction, be here now? What does she mean she's marrying Ryan? I can't keep up. I thought Ryan and I had a perfect marriage.
Why is Chloe here? Has Ryan been seeing her? Since when?
3-4 months ago, maybe? We bumped into each other by chance, and, well, here we are. You know, Susan, now that you're healthier, you really do look just like me. I thought the same thing when Chloe showed up. Even though we are identical twins, we looked different as kids, so people could always tell us apart. I've gotten healthier, and marriage brought a settled, peaceful life, which might be why. If we had the same hairstyle, no one could tell us apart. But that doesn't mean Ryan could betray me. It shouldn't matter that we look alike. Chloe used to laugh at Ryan, calling him a dork.
This has to be a bad joke, right? Chloe, you never liked Ryan.
Well, I didn't, but I'm divorced now and thinking about remarriage.
Chloe, you were married?
As if I'd stay single forever. My ex-husband worked for a big company and was handsome, but he was so frugal he never let me spend any money, so I dumped him. Chloe's high-pitched laugh is just like when we were kids. She always looked down on me with that laugh, the one I hated. That face made me avoid mirrors for a while. But after marrying Ryan, I started to like my face. I'll make sure you get your fair share.
I don't care about that.
Then how about nothing? No. We have to sort this out properly to avoid future issues. It seems like a waste, but whatever. Ryan has an inheritance, after all.
Inheritance?
I recall Ryan mentioning something about that last month. The lawyer contacted him because his dad's brother, his uncle, had passed away. His uncle was unmarried with no other family. So Ryan, as his nephew, was the heir. Ryan's uncle had some business ventures. That must be the inheritance. Is Chloe after Ryan for this? Does Ryan realize her intentions?
Chloe doesn't love you. She just wants your inheritance.
It's already decided. Ryan insisted on divorce, wanting it finalized quickly, leaving me in despair. It seemed pointless to argue. Living with Ryan, who betrayed me for Chloe, was unbearable. So, I divorced him, receiving alimony and a settlement. Ryan offered most of his savings as part of the division. It was much more than a typical settlement. Was this Ryan's way of showing sincerity? No amount could ease my pain, but work helped distract me. Then, 3 months after the divorce, I received news of Ryan's sudden death. I was still processing everything when I heard the news, and I was shocked.
No!
I couldn't believe it. The man I thought I'd spend my life with, who betrayed me for Chloe, was gone. I thought I could never forgive him, but I couldn't believe that the time we spent together was a lie. For the 10 years I was married to Ryan, I was truly happy. Even though it ended this way, I wanted to be there for him in his final moments. I was filled with the desire to spend that last time together. The news of Ryan's death came from the lawyer who handled our divorce and the division of our assets. The lawyer told me to attend Ryan's funeral. But I was already divorced, and Ryan had remarried Chloe, so I wondered if I should go to the funeral. I told the lawyer as much, but he insisted that I come because he had something from Ryan to give me. When I showed up at the funeral, Chloe looked at me as if to say, "What are you doing here?" But she said nothing. Ryan, in the coffin, was so emaciated that it was hard to believe only 3 months had passed, but his face was surprisingly peaceful, which somehow reassured me. However, I noticed that Chloe didn't seem very sad. In fact, she seemed somewhat happy. She was probably excited because Ryan's uncle's inheritance would soon be hers. After all, that was her real motive. Still, I couldn't believe he would go to heaven so soon. Even as I looked at Ryan lying in the coffin, I couldn't believe it, but the funeral proceeded as usual. After the funeral ended, while relatives were still around, the lawyer handed me a will.
A will?
Yes, Ryan entrusted me with this to give to you after his death.
Wait. Why Susan? I'm his wife.
This was the deceased's wish, so I must follow it. Chloe looked a bit frustrated at the lawyer's words, but quickly composed herself. Fine. It doesn't matter who the will is for. The inheritance goes to me, his only family. She said this, looking down at me. Hurry up and open it and read it. I opened the will as Chloe commanded, and inside was the will and what seemed to be a letter. I decided to read the will first. The first line read, "I bequeath all the inheritance I received from my uncle to my wife." There didn't seem to be anything unusual, but the next part shocked me. Ryan's uncle's business had been declining for several years before he passed away, and by the time he died, it had nearly $5 million in debt. Of course, the house was mortgaged, and the personal assets were just debts.
No way!
Chloe, her parents, and the relatives who were present turned pale when they heard about the inheritance. I remembered that Ryan wasn't close with his relatives, yet many attended the funeral because Chloe had boasted to her parents about receiving a huge inheritance. The relatives had probably come hoping to benefit from it. But as soon as they learned it was just debt.
You said you'd share the inheritance once you got it.
They started complaining and left quickly.
What's going on? This isn't what we were told. Ryan told me there was $5 million in inheritance. Because that's what I heard from Ryan.
Yes, there is. $5 million in debt. Debt is also an asset. The lawyer replied calmly. Confused, I looked at the letter included with the will. Ryan was diagnosed with a terminal illness 6 months ago, and he struggled to tell me. During that time, he met Chloe. Her hairstyle and clothing were entirely different, so he knew it wasn't me, but she looked so similar that he couldn't help but stare. Chloe approached him.
Are you Susan's husband?
Ryan, wanting me to have a supportive family after he was gone, exchanged contact information with her, but Chloe blatantly tried to seduce him. Apparently, Chloe couldn't stand seeing me happy after her own divorce. She wanted to take Ryan away from me and laugh about it. Ryan played along and listened as she revealed that her parents had squandered their money and were pretending to be sick to get money from me. Even though she claimed to be estranged from them, Ryan knew my kind-hearted nature would make it hard for me to refuse if they asked for help. Around that time, we received news about my uncle's inheritance. It turned out to be nothing but debts, but Ryan saw an opportunity. He imagined me being unable to refuse my family's demands after his death. Ryan knew he had to handle things while he was still alive. He wanted to ensure I could live strongly on my own and not be exploited by my family. He also wanted to get back at his family, who only thought of themselves. Ryan divorced me, leaving almost all his money to me as part of the divorce settlement. He kept the fact that the inheritance was just debts a secret from Chloe and the others. He told them it would take months for the inheritance to be processed, and they believed him. Chloe continued to splurge, buying cars and a house. All in Chloe's name, with Ryan as a co-signer. They planned to use the inheritance money to pay off everything and then leave him. Ryan's letter detailed everything about his dealings with Chloe. Since he did everything as she wanted, now that he's gone, all they have left is debt. If Ryan had died while we were still married, my family might have come to me for money. And I would have given it to them. I probably would have, especially if they had said kind words to me. Even though I told myself they were no longer my family, I wouldn't have been able to ignore them if they were in trouble. Ryan knew my nature well. He sacrificed himself to protect me. As expected, Chloe contacted me afterward. "Susan, you can come back home now. Let's live together from now on. So you can make me pay off the house loan? We're going to live together, so it's fine." "No, thank you. But you got a lot of money from Ryan, right? You should give us some." "I don't care. We're drowning in debt. Can't you help us out? We're family." "We're not family anymore, and it's your own fault. Please. Dad and Mom have no money and are relying on me. Help us out, please. I have no obligation. Family is in trouble. Helping is only natural, right? I don't care. I'm not planning to have anything to do with you anymore. Do what you want. This is the last time I'm talking to you. Goodbye." I heard from a lawyer later that Chloe abandoned her inheritance and sold the house and cars, but still couldn't repay the debts. The whole family now works from morning to night, living in extreme poverty. I will never betray Ryan's wishes. But the desire to have spent his last moments with him never fades. Still, I know that he thought of me until the end. With that thought in my heart, I will live strongly from now on. A healthy baby boy is here. And I've finally become a grandma. When I called home after hearing about the birth of my eldest daughter Karen's first child, my eldest son William's wife, Ashley, excitedly said, "Another 12 months would have been just fine too. Having the birth drag on that long would have been unusual. Anyway, I'm relieved both mother and child are healthy and there were no complications." Then Ashley said, "Don't you feel reluctant to return home after living with your own daughter for a month? And it must be hard to part with your grandson too, right?" "That's true. Indeed, it's sad to be away from Karen, and it's tough to leave my grandson too." "You might as well stay at Karen's place forever, Elizabeth. Maybe you don't have to come back here at all?" "Ashley, you sound like you don't want me to come back." "Well, Elizabeth, during the month you were away, I truly enjoyed the freedom and I felt I was at peace." "That makes it sound like I'm a nuisance to you." "Well, to be frank, Elizabeth, you are. A real boomer, you know.
Frankly, I wouldn't mind if you never came back. It would be refreshing for me.
The words Ashley spoke over the phone were shocking. However, having anticipated this could happen, I calmly accepted her words.
Well, that's good to hear.
My name is Elizabeth. I'm a 55-year-old housewife. I married a man I met in high school when I was 20, and 2 years later, we had William, followed by Karen for years after that. Though we had our fair share of arguments, I believe our family relationship was very good. However, as if waiting to see Karen start her career, my husband passed away and went to heaven. Since both of my children were already independent, being left alone in the family home made my life very lonely. Then, one day, 2 years later, William said he had a woman he wanted me to meet and came to visit the family home. Her name was Ashley, and she worked with William at the same workplace. I fell in love with William's sincerity. I thought his mother must be a wonderful person too, and I was right, she said, making me very happy. So, we're thinking of living with you, Mom, after we get married, William suggested, but I shouldn't interfere with the newlyweds. It's not just my idea. Ashley wants to live with you too. Plus, when we have a child, Mom can always play with the grandchild, right? That single sentence from William deeply moved me.
That sounds fun. Ashley and I being women, we might find common grounds, and I can listen to her troubles or complaints about her husband too,
I joked, to which William seriously replied, Complaints about her husband? Did you have complaints about Dad? It's just an example. This kid takes after his dad, serious and can't even take a joke. Regardless, my eldest son and his wife ended up living with me. Also, Ashley promised to quit her job at the time of her marriage and dedicate herself to being a housewife for me and William. Please teach me more and more about household chores. I thought my son had married an overly perfect woman and felt proud of William. However, 3 months after they got married, Ashley's attitude began to change gradually. Ashley took the initiative to go grocery shopping, but what started as an hour-long outing eventually extended to 2, then 3 hours. Sorry, Elizabeth. When I went to buy vegetables, a friend emailed me that it was cheaper in the next town. I thought it would save on food expenses and help you out. Such things are forgivable once or twice, but when it happens 4 or 5 times a week, my irritation grew.
Ashley, if you're going to be late, a message would be nice. You have a mobile phone, don't you?
Ashley frowned as if it were a hassle and said, Sorry, Elizabeth. When I went shopping, I ran into a friend from my school days, and we ended up having tea.
You could have at least sent a message, couldn't you?
I'm sorry. I'll report in advance from now on. The next morning, Ashley had a carefree smile on her face.
Today, I have a lunch date with a friend. I reported in advance just like you told me to, so there shouldn't be any problem, right? That means I won't need lunch today. Please take care of the rest.
Then, the very next day, Ashley, having applied bold makeup and dressed in branded clothes, said,
Today, I've made plans to go to karaoke with friends, so I'll leave the housework to you.
Didn't I tell you last week that I was going to teach you my special dish today? Have you forgotten about that promise?
That can be done anytime. My promise with my friends is just for today, so I really can't cancel.
Allowing even a single act of selfishness seemed to have been the mistake. After that, Ashley continued to find reasons to go out every day, dumping all the household chores on me as if it were natural. Moreover, completely exhausted from playing, Ashley would come home and taste the food I had prepared and say, Isn't this dish a bit bland? Young people like me prefer a bit more spice. This needs to be redone. She had the audacity to lecture me, as if she were in a position to do so. Then one day,
I want to come over to hang.
I received a rare call from Karen. Maybe I should talk to her about it. I've avoided nagging Ashley to prevent worsening the problem, but that might be complicating things. I wondered what Karen, who is of Ashley's generation, would think of the situation. I thought her perspective could be enlightening. However, sitting on the sofa, Karen seemed hesitant to speak, frequently starting and then stopping.
What's wrong? It's not like you. If you have something to say, just say it.
Then Karen, taking a deep breath with her eyes closed, said,
I'm thinking of getting married.
Married? Really? Congratulations! So, who is the person?
He's a coworker, and we've been dating for 6 months. And, well, I'm pregnant with his child.
Oh my, that's quite something. But no matter what, if you're happy, that's all that matters to me. Congratulations, Karen. Thank you. I was really scared coming here today, thinking you'd be against it. I'm so glad I did.
Why would I be against my daughter's marriage?
It's a bit unconventional to be pregnant before marriage by old standards, but I won't oppose your choice. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Karen must have been tormented by anxiety, as she began to cry tears of relief upon arriving here.
Come on, you're going to be a mother.
Be strong. I was so focused on encouraging Karen that the atmosphere no longer seemed right for discussing Ashley's issue. In the end, Karen left that day without me having mentioned anything about Ashley. I'm going to be a grandma too. I thought William would be first, but Karen has grown up before I knew it. While suppressing the urge to dance around, I checked my bank account. I hadn't spent much money since my husband passed away, but I thought I might splurge a bit for my daughter's baby shower.
Oh? What's this?
The moment I checked the account, I was confused by an unexpected situation. A significant amount of money had been withdrawn. Not just once or twice, but repeatedly over the last 3 months. What could this mean? Worried, I asked Ashley when she returned home from her outing.
Do you have any idea about this?
Ashley frowned and said,
Elizabeth, are you suspecting me of withdrawing money from your account without permission?
Of course, I'm not thinking that far.
It's just that it happened in our household, so I thought if you knew anything, you could tell me.
Then William came home from work.
William, Elizabeth is suspecting me of withdrawing money from her bank account without permission.
I'm not accusing you of stealing. I'm just puzzled about the sudden disappearance of the account's money. William looked carefully at the bank account information.
Money has been withdrawn almost every week. Do you have any idea what this could be about?
I have no idea. That's what's so unsettling. Then Ashley, with a mean smirk, said,
Elizabeth, why don't you go to the hospital for a checkup? Maybe get tested for Alzheimer's or dementia.
A test? Ashley, do you suspect I might have such a disease? It's not about suspicion.
Not remembering withdrawing money from your account seems pretty serious, doesn't it? I heard it's better to deal with these things early for easier treatment later.
Ashley spoke as if she had already concluded I was suffering from dementia, but I didn't have the confidence to argue back.
That's true. I certainly don't want to think Mom could have dementia, but early detection is crucial. Why not just take the test to be safe?
I'll think about it. Don't forget to get tested. The wedding of Karen went by smoothly.
Congratulations, Karen. Build a happy family.
Thank you, Mom. But how about you? Are you okay? Karen had reason to be concerned. William seems busy with business trips, but why is Ashley, his wife, not at home either? When I came over for wedding planning or to talk about my pregnancy, Ashley was always out.
I'm also wondering what she's up to.
I laughed it off, but Ashley was not just going out for lunch or karaoke with friends. Lately, she had even started traveling.
You're William's wife. Don't you think it's strange to go on trips with friends so often?
Since William is away on business anyway, it's no problem if I go traveling.
If there's some law against a wife traveling while her husband is away, please let me know. There's no law, but just think a bit more about common sense.
Ashley frowned annoyingly.
I've heard that talk dozens of times. You might have forgotten, Elizabeth, but repeating the same story is a sign of early dementia, or so I've heard.
Ashley, you're making fun of me again.
I'm not making fun.
As your daughter-in-law, I'm worried. What's up? Did you get checked out at the hospital? Or did you forget you were supposed to go? Laughing crudely, Ashley clapped her hands. I decided to go to the hospital the next day for a cognitive function test to convince myself. The specialist confirmed.
There's absolutely no problem. If we look at your brain age, it's like that of someone in their 20s.
This left me without a clear explanation for the large amounts of money being withdrawn from my account. The withdrawals from the account continued to occur repeatedly. If it wasn't a mistake in my memory. One day, Karen came to visit the family home. Her belly had visibly grown much larger than before. I thought I should talk to you about something. I confided in my daughter about the unnatural disappearance of money from my account.
Of course, the doctor said there were no abnormalities in my cognitive tests. That's what scares me.
Karen listened silently to my story.
I understand.
And then nodded.
If it's come to this, there's only one possibility. It must be someone who has regular access to the house. A one-time occurrence could be a passerby burglar, but repeated incidents naturally lead to suspicion of someone inside.
Karen then made a suggestion.
Let's flush out the culprit.
How do we do that?
We'll intentionally leave the house empty to let the culprit get careless. We'll catch them in the act of reaching for the debit card, thinking no one is home. It's a straightforward plan.
I wonder if it will really work. Fortunately, I'm about to give birth.
So, Mom, you'll be helping me with the childbirth,
which means leaving the house empty for a while.
I see. That would make it a natural reason to be away.
At the same time, we'll install a small security camera in the room with the closet. My husband knows a lot about this stuff, so let's have him do it. A few days later, I told William and Ashley.
So, I'll be going to Karen's place for about a month to help out, leaving everything else in your care, Ashley.
Mom, won't Ashley be lonely by herself?
If I didn't have business trips, I could be there for her all the time, but...
William showed concern for his wife, but Ashley herself said,
Elizabeth, don't worry about us and take your time, even if it's for a month or two.
I'm not going on a vacation. If the birth got delayed by 2 months, that would be serious. Thus, William and Ashley readily agreed to my leaving home for a month. A month passed, and Karen gave birth to a healthy baby boy.
He's born. A healthy baby boy. I'm a grandma now.
When I called home, Ashley replied excitedly.
She could have stayed pregnant a bit longer. Like I said before, if the birth had been prolonged, wouldn't it be odd? Anyway, I'm relieved that both mother and child are healthy.
Don't you feel reluctant to return home after staying with your daughter for a month? And it must be hard to part with your grandson too, right?
Yes. Indeed, it's sad to be away from Karen and tough to leave my grandson.
You might as well stay at Karen's place forever, Elizabeth. Maybe you don't have to come back here at all?
Ashley, you sound like you don't want me back.
Well, Elizabeth, during the month you were away, I truly enjoyed the freedom and I felt I was at peace.
So, it's like I'm a nuisance to you?
Yes. Frankly, Elizabeth, you are. You don't have to come back at all. It would be refreshing for me too. Ashley's words over the phone were shocking. However, I had anticipated something like this could happen. I calmly accepted her words. Well, that's good to hear. After replying in a monotone voice, I resolved to take action against Ashley. Karen, who had safely given birth, was discharged from the hospital. Returning home, Karen took a deep breath and said, "It's definitely more relaxing at home than in the hospital."
I'll help as much as I can.
I said so, gently stroked my grandson's face. Then William arrived, saying he was bringing baby supplies as a gift for his sister's childbirth. Congratulations, Karen. Looks like my sister beat me to it. So, Mom, what's this talk about? William's visit to Karen's home wasn't just for the childbirth celebration. I felt heavy-hearted about having to discuss something so unsuitable on such a joyous day. Exchanging looks with Karen, who was fully aware of the situation, I said, "There's something I absolutely must discuss with you." That kind of introduction makes me a bit scared. William scratched the back of his head and laughed, but seeing the serious expressions on mine and Karen's faces, he stopped laughing. "First, there's some footage I want you to see." Signaling this, Karen's husband projected the video data they had prepared on a laptop. This footage was secretly recorded at the family home during the month Mom was taking care of me. Karen said in a serious tone, "What do you mean by secretly recording our home?" Confused, William watched as the footage played, showing,
"Is that Ashley on the screen? What the hell is she doing?"
Shocked by what unfolded, William opened his mouth.
"This closet, isn't this the closet where Mom's debit card was kept?"
Witnessing this, Karen spoke up.
"That's undeniable evidence of Ashley repeatedly taking Mom's account's debit card without permission. She did it habitually, probably feeling safe with Mom away." So, the recent unexplained withdrawals from Mom's account were all her doing? It wasn't because of Mom's dementia. It's ridiculous to think I have dementia. I even saw a doctor who joked that I have the brain age of someone in their 20s.
Not just that.
Suspecting Ashley might have taken more than just from Mom's bank account, we decided to install cameras throughout the house, just in case.
As Karen said this, her husband displayed footage from the living room.
"What's this? Why is she letting a man other than me into our home?"
Seeing another man in the footage, William shouted. The video showed Ashley and another man boldly entering our home and embracing each other.
It wasn't just once or twice. Unaware we had installed cameras, this woman, taking advantage of William's business trips and Mom's absence, met with this man almost daily,
Karen said with a bitter expression.
Seeing this, I no longer wanted to return to this house. It's desecrated memories of us, our father, and the home we cherished.
I couldn't help but grimace and express my feelings of hatred.
I'd rather sell that house than live with that woman. Karen and I discussed it, and I've decided to rent an apartment nearby.
Learning the whole truth, William burst into laughter.
So that's what it was. I had a feeling something was off for a while now. It's just that she kept getting brighter and more beautiful day by day, but somehow she seemed to avoid me. If there's another man, it makes sense why my wife's attitude became distant. But let's hold off on selling the house just a bit longer. I have some preparations I want to make first. Because I have an idea about the man in the footage.
William, you know this man?
I think it's definitely him. Now, I just need to gather evidence proving Ashley's relationship with this man, and then proceed with the divorce and claim compensation. Could you give me a little time? Understood. I'll leave the rest to you.
3 weeks later, William informed me. Everything's ready. Returning home with my family for the first time in a while.
Can you still say that you didn't do anything?
They confronted Ashley with the pieces of evidence.
Not only did you bring another man into the house besides stealing from my bank account, but I will also have you return every penny you stole. Of course, I will also file for divorce and claim compensation for the affair. I'm speechless to find out you're still involved with your ex-boyfriend, Steven.
Ashley showed no sign of disturbance or guilt.
So it finally came out.
She reacted as if merely caught in a prank.
The only reason I married someone like you was for the salary and because this house was in a fancy neighborhood. That's all there was to it. All this time, you've been deceiving me and Mom? What other benefits were there? My true love has always been Steven. I am a woman of fidelity. I would use even you and your mother to be happy with Steven.
You were planning to marry Steven? When I asked with a heavy heart, Ashley matter-of-factly said,
After you pass away, the inheritance goes to William, right? Then I plan to divorce under various pretenses,
so half of the property would become mine. After that, I intended to marry Stephen.
I understand your true intentions now. I no longer wish to live in such a tainted house. I've decided to let go of this house and rent an apartment elsewhere.
Following my declaration, William also said,
I too will divorce you and leave this house. I'll rent an apartment somewhere and start my life over.
Do as you like. I have no use for you anymore. I'll sign the divorce papers. And Elizabeth, since you're at it, why not transfer all rights to this house to me? Ashley looked at me triumphantly. Understood. Do whatever you want with everything? I calmly accepted Ashley's demands and proceeded with all the paperwork for the change of ownership without any complaints. Several weeks later, Ashley's mother called my mobile phone.
Bring William and come to the house right now.
Ashley's mother, Angela, summoned us in a scolding tone to Ashley's parental home. Not only Angela, but also her father, Donald, was there, arms crossed and frowning deeply.
You have some nerve showing up. We've heard everything from our daughter. You are an utterly disgraceful family. Don't you feel ashamed?
I don't understand what you're saying at all.
Elizabeth, you've been harassing my daughter every day, using your position as a mother-in-law, haven't you? She says just thinking about it makes her feel sick and cry.
This was unexpected for me.
William, I also heard you've been having an affair with a girl from work and not giving Ashley any living expenses. The whole family lacks common sense. On top of that, you're pushing all the property and utility bills onto Ashley.
It seemed Ashley had deceived her parents with convenient lies. If that's the case, please look through these documents first. I presented Donald and Angela with evidence of Ashley's affair and proof that she had been withdrawing large sums of money from my bank account without permission.
This must be some kind of mistake.
I can't believe it's come to this.
It's understandable that you'd want to believe in your daughter, but we have legal representation. If we go to court, you'll be at a disadvantage. It seems you're not aware that Ashley and I have divorced.
When William chimed in, Ashley's parents exchanged a look of utter surprise.
And please listen to this audio recording.
I then played a recording of Ashley insisting on transferring the house rights to her, in front of her parents. Their expressions turned visibly pale, evoking pity from those watching.
Moreover, the compensation for the emotional distress Ashley caused me and my son has yet to be paid.
I delivered this statement decisively. Ashley's parents stood up from the sofa as if on cue and began to apologize profusely. We're sorry, even though we didn't know. It's all because we spoiled our daughter. Yes, it's all our fault for raising such a selfish daughter. Come on, Ashley, apologize properly. Even when scolded by her mother, Ashley retorted,
This is stupid. Why should I apologize to these people? I'm the victim here. I wasn't told the house still had a 5-year loan. And Stephen has been hard to contact lately. He hasn't transferred any money, so I can't even afford to live. Why can't I reach him?
Ashley, struggling with living expenses and deceiving your own parents. But you thought you'd get through this by being cunning, didn't you?
That's right. I thought if I cried to my parents, they would take my side and sort everything out. For that, I had to have you and the others out to be the bad guys.
We're truly sorry. Our daughter has caused trouble from start to finish. We will make sure she transfers the compensation. Donald apologized repeatedly. Later, as promised, money was transferred from Ashley, but it was forcibly done by her parents, and I could somewhat imagine Ashley sulking about it. Ashley's parents soon contacted me. We borrowed money to make the transfer. From now on, we must make our daughter go through hard times. Angela revealed her daughter's plight, followed by Donald. We've cut ties with Ashley as parents. She's working day and night, but we won't reach out to her anymore. Months later, As William began to enjoy living alone with his emotional wounds healed and his life becoming more comfortable, Ashley suddenly visited his apartment.
Listen, William. Stephen had a wife.
I was there at the time and sarcastically said,
You were meeting other men while having a husband yourself. Isn't that your own fault?
Ashley glared at me.
Now Stephen's wife is demanding compensation from me. I'm always the victim, yet why do I always end up suffering?
So, Ashley, what do you want today?
I was wondering if you could help me get back together with William. Otherwise, I don't know how I'll manage to live.
Both William and I had completely lost all fondness for Ashley, so there was no way we would agree to reconcile.
You and I are strangers now. It's a nuisance having you here, so please leave.
William tried to dismiss her coldly, but Ashley stayed put like a rock in front of the apartment. Unable to tolerate it any longer, William called the police. Ashley received a stern warning from the officers and reluctantly left. I'm now making new friends in my new apartment. Elizabeth, there's a sale at the supermarket this weekend. Let's go together.
There's a new restaurant nearby. Would you like to try it out sometime?
Karen occasionally brings her child to visit my apartment. Seeing their budding speech and adorable smiles, I no longer feel lonely. My only remaining goal is to see William truly happy. With that aim, I'm enjoying my time leisurely and happily.